Hello everyone, this is Godlike Gaming Crew and your host Bato323, and today I'll be talking to you about Rez Infinite for the PlayStation VR and PlayStation 4, a game that released in October of 2016. To be completely fair and full disclosure, this game is based off of an older version of the game that released back in 2002 for the PlayStation 2 or in late 2011 if you had a Dreamcast. The game itself is a very basic and on-the-rails arcade-type shooter. Your avatar simply floats in the center, and you simply aim using the crosshairs with your left analog stick, or in the case of PlayStation VR, using the actual headset. Personally, having played the game previously back in the day when it first came out, repurchased it again when they finally ported it onto the 360 and PS3, and then now finally on the PlayStation 4 using the PlayStation VR, I have to say the game really does lend itself to be an amazing VR experience when using the PlayStation VR. You can play it with your PlayStation 4, but I feel like you don't really get the full sense of everything going on in the game with just your basic screen. It feels a lot more involved with using the VR because yes, in the VR, everywhere you look, you're able to see the game and its full renderings like you're inside the game. However, because of the way the game works as an arcade rails shooter and the mechanics, it really does feel more involved to be using the VR headset than using your basic standard controller. Though when the game did come out, all you did have at the time was just your basic controller using your joystick to aim around and shoot using the X keys or the X button on your PlayStation controller. Overall, the game is in and of itself just a rehash or just a ported version of the game that originally came out back in 2002. And that's perfectly fine, especially for anyone who's never even played the original game when it first came out on the PlayStation 2. Being able to play this now in PlayStation VR, having appreciated the game back in the day when it first came out, the game is in fact amazing. The game does comprise of 5 areas. Gameplay shown right now is of Area 5, which is leading up to the final boss. I won't have any other gameplay footage to share with you of this of the other areas, but needless to say, it's about the same in terms of how the game mechanics work that's being shown on screen. The overall game has different music and tempos and boss battles that you'll have to face between areas 1 through 4. On the 5th area, it has its own set of music as well, and then has the final boss battle with comprising of the 4 bosses from the first 4 stages, and even the 5th boss after you've completed the replicants of those previous bosses you defeated in the first 4 areas. The game basically rates you on your performance, and your performance is based on the amount of enemies you're able to quickly eliminate on your screen, given the specific stage areas, as well as picking up the support and upgrade points for your avatar. Once you collected enough avatar points, your character is able to change its life form or upgrade. That's also the way the game gives you lives in this game. Once you've received enough upgrade points, you'll then gain essentially a new form, which is also considered a life. Enemies in this game will potentially shoot projectiles at you, but very slowly, or they'll simply crash into you, and when they do, that's when your life form goes down by 1 level. Once you're eliminated of those life forms or levels, the game is over. There are no checkpoints in this game, and so if you die in this stage, you'll have to start all over again. The game does allow you to replay the stages as many times as you want, and in this newer version of Rez Infinite, you get the opportunity to replay the game with various other modes, such as travel, which is a little bit more casual to get through the stages, score attack mode, where the base score level is 150,000 points. Every enemy that you destroy on the screen adds points, and there are trophies for achieving that score or even higher. Most of the trophies in this game revolve around getting 100% progress as progressing through the game as I described, unlocking areas, completely eliminating all enemies, and picking up every single support item for upgrading your life form, as well as the support weapons of the use of overdrive. Now, the only newer addition to the game overall is an area referred to as Area X. Area X is now what I believe is a bit of a tech demo for what the game could be had they expanded on it using an entirely new graphics engine. This game, towards the end, you get to see in the credits that this was powered using the Unreal 4 engine. And you can see through all the bells and whistles of particle effects that it is indeed using the newest graphics engine. That's not apparent in the original part of the game of Rez areas 1 through 5. This is the only part of the game that is in fact new, but definitely utilizes PlayStation VR to the fullest. Whereas in the original Rez gameplay, allowing you to just simply move around, aiming with your headset, this portion of the game allows you to actually move your avatar on your own. It is recommended that you use your standard PlayStation 4 controller because there's the opportunities to fly forward, fly back, and pretty much anywhere within the particular area of the game. Because this game of Area X is still in the Rez form of the game, the mechanics don't change very much at all. You're still aiming around, you're still locking onto enemies and firing at them. These enemies, of course, are a little bit more unique in terms of visuals than they were in the original Rez game, but again, at its core, it's still the same. And because of the way the environments are set up, they're able to attack you from a couple of more areas than where the camera fixates for you during the on-rail shooter portion. Again, you're able to generally float around anywhere you wish, so I've been progressively flying forward in this gameplay, but at any point in time, I could actually stop myself and go back. Now, going in reverse is a little slower than going forward, but if you turn your head enough to the left or right, you'll actually begin to rotate your avatar to move away from where you were and backpedal to the original starting point for the new stage area. Overall, with this area, including areas 1 through 5 of the original game, Rez Infinite does provide a lot more gameplay than the original. And if you're into getting the Platinum Trophy on your PlayStation 4, then there is quite a bit of content for you to play in order to get those trophies. As I mentioned before, most of them involve the same as mentioned previously. Eliminate all enemies on the screen, don't miss any of the support materials to upgrade your character, as well as the overdrive or support weaponry that you can use throughout the game. Overall, for a entry-level PlayStation VR game to have come out during launch, they picked a winner with this particular game. Again, the original game came out in 2002, but this Area X gameplay as shown here is pretty amazing when you're having it and wearing it in the headset and seeing all those particles fly. PlayStation VR overall is a pretty good VR headset for the price point. It's not as sharp as particularly compared to the Oculus VR, but for $400 you really can't beat that price point. Not to mention that if you already have a PlayStation 4, all you need is that VR headset with your camera and you're pretty much good to go to play this game. As mentioned previously, you don't need to use your Move controllers to play this game. You can just simply use your VR headset and your basic PlayStation 4 controller to push the buttons to fire your rounds at your enemies during this game. Hope you all enjoyed this VR review of Rez Infinite for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR. As mentioned before, this game is definitely worth a buy if you're willing to try out the new PlayStation VR and we're wondering what new games to play. This is definitely a winner. This is Bato323 signing out. Thank you.